Hello and welcome. We're doing another live broadcast here. And I'd like to very first say if you're out there watching, please make this interactive. Leave us a comment. Let me know what's going on. We'll try to keep things a little bit more interesting. I certainly want to answer any questions anyone has along the way. The agenda for today's program, what we're going to do is I bought a 4-pack of guitars from Amazon, or they sell on Amazon. I got a deal where I was able to buy 4 of them and they're supposed to all be identical. I opened one, I shot videos, I uploaded it on Amazon, and then I sold it, right? I have 3 more, and a couple friends were telling me, "Hey, if you're going to list and sell these, you should probably open them and make sure that there's nothing wrong with them before you sell them." And I was not planning on doing that, but it made sense. So I thought, you know what? I should do that, and maybe I'll do it on camera. And then I thought, you know what? Even better, why don't I do it live? I think Birdman may have suggested that to me actually. Birdman 316. If you go find him on YouTube, we were talking offline, and he said, "Oh, you ought to video it. You ought to do it live." So that's what I'm doing. I have 3 boxes. I already opened one, and it's been sold, and the videos are already up. The model is from IYV. It's the ILS 250 SB. I'm going to bring up a screen share here. We'll share the entire second screen. So these are what we will be looking at today. Hopefully, I mean, the boxes are still taped shut, so I'm not actually 100% sure what we're going to see, but in theory, it should be 3 more that are identical and look exactly the same as what you see here. So it is generically kind of a Les Paul shape and a sunburst finish. I think that's what the SB means, because they also have this in a black model. Let's open that in a separate thing here. So the ILS 250 is black paint, not a sunburst paint. So let's see where hopefully all of these are what they're supposed to be, and it looks like $115 to $120 is what they are, depending on which model, which version, which color scheme you get. Black on the back side, and then either black or sunburst on the front. Les Paul configuration, but 2 P90 pickups. So one in the neck, one in the bridge position, a wrapped tailpiece with a little bit of intonation adjustment that we'll talk about. I'll show you the different ways we can adjust that. All right, why don't we dive in? We'll have 3 of them to open, and then actually I've got a variety of products around here that are waiting to be unboxed and videoed. And if I kind of get on a roll, maybe I'll show you some of the other things that are waiting to have videos made. Maybe not. We'll have to see how it goes. So let me grab one of these real quick. I got all 3 of them sitting beside me here. And here's a little barcode label at the bottom that says ILS 250 SB. And this is the way the packages come. Amazon sometimes will just slap a label on the outside of this, because this was a 4-pack. It was a box with 4 of these in it. So it did have an outer box protecting it. So let me flip it upside down, and I'll grab the little stabby thing here, and we'll cut the tape on one side. Open that up. Flip around here. And, before we get in and see what any of them look like, go ahead. If you're watching this, do me a favor. Let's have some fun with this. Leave a comment right now. How many are going to have damage? Okay. Is it 0? Is it 1, 2, or 3? We're going to open 3 guitars. How many of them are going to have some damage on them? And I'm talking about shipping damage. We can also explore whether any of them have any defects that were not caused in shipping. But, tell me how many you think are going to be good. And as you saw, I just cut the tape on this one. I had 2 more boxes sitting beside me that are taped shut. So here we go. This one did have, I forgot to show you this before I opened it. Close it back up, spin it around. It did have a little ding on the bottom here. So we'll just check out. That looks like the upper bout, but there's a huge piece of styrofoam on the inside. They've done a good job with how they pack these, in my opinion. in that it has a styrofoam neck rest, styrofoam protecting the head from going out the end of the box. And then we get lower, we have the styrofoam protecting the front, and then pieces all the way around it with some reasonable thickness. So it'll take a little bit of abuse. Get this box out of the way. So you can see a closed cell foam bag, and then under the, what do you call that, rubber band, or wrapped up in it, are some tools. This is 3 sizes of Allen wrenches for the different things that are adjustable. Get a first look at this. I like that they put the anti-corrosion paper over the strings. Steel guitar strings can rust in transit and sitting in warehouses. So I like that they've done that. Let's see here. No issues around the neck. I think that's probably the most likely issue you have when you buy a guitar online, is it shows up with a neck break in shipping. And then probably here where the neck goes in, where it's glued in, that looks good, no cracks or anything. And then down by the strap button, because that sometimes will push into the edge of the box. Honestly, with the way they put the styrofoam sandwich all the way around it, I was going to be surprised if we had any issues. Well, that's kind of a nice looking top too. It's got a little bit of wavy grain pattern. You can see the kind of waves going this way with the grain pattern coming up and down. That is really nice. I like that. Okay, so I think what we're seeing so far, all of these knobs seem to turn okay. That's all right. The switch tip hadn't broken off. That looks good. The cavity covers in the back still have the plastic over them. And I don't see anything on here. Looks like some tape goop or something back there that it's rubbing off. I thought it was a scratch, but it's rubbing off. All right, so that one looks pretty good. The nut is in place and no obvious defects on that. So, all right, so far it's looking pretty good. All right, so now we have the guitar on the bench. This is number 1, and getting the camera adjusted, the downward facing camera. Thanks for bearing with me through that. It's on the Flatsons work mat. Thanks to Flatsons for sending that. We're going to use the little stabby thing here to cut or pry the tape up so we can get this rust-proof paper off. I really, really like, especially the guitars that come from overseas. They're often loaded in a container ship. They cross the ocean, which obviously has salt air. They hit a variety of different Amazon distribution points in the U.S. and trucks, and they're exposed to a lot of potential to develop corrosion on the strings. So wrapping them in this rust-proof paper really helps. But then also that's protecting the frets because you have that rust-proof treated paper sitting right on top of the frets. Right, looking at the top, it's a Jatoba fretboard and a sunburst finish, and you may have noticed a really nice grain pattern on that one. The nut looks pretty good. There's the IYV headstock and kind of coming down the fretboard. As I look at the frets, I'm finding the ends of the frets aren't just smooth. It feels like they've been rounded over. I think they've already taken a sanding sponge and gone over the fret ends to help roll them over. That's what I often do, especially on cheap guitars and especially on guitars with rosewood fretboards. Not so much if it's a maple fretboard that has been, the whole thing has been lacquered or otherwise coated, because it would sand some of that coating off. But on a rosewood board, there's really no downside to doing that. Awesome. Yeah. Love the burst on number one. I think it turned out pretty good. That's a nice one. We'll just move it out of the way and I'll try to ignore it. Hopefully you're not hearing the echo here through my regular microphone. But anyhow, one down. It looks pretty good. Why not just for kicks? Let me put my little Donner clip-on tuner on here. Tune it up, see what it sounds like real quick. If there's anything anyone wants to talk about, please let me know. We can talk about it. Actually, I don't think I want to do that. Oh, yeah, don't forget to mark them somehow. You know what? That's a really good point. All right. If you want to learn about the little tape reel here, go to our Maker channel. That's it's called Gear Report Maker. All of our other channels are under the Gear Report name. This one is under the Dearly Guitarded name. But I'm going to put a little piece of tape here on the back. I'm going to write a number one on there. So here we go. That was number one, numero uno. I'm going to hang this one right there. All right, thoughts, questions, comments, anyone, please let me know. Before I open the next one, I'm going to put all the stuff back in the box. So bundle that up, put the rubber bands around it, because when I'm done, I'm putting everything back in the box. I had one, I used it, I shot my videos for Amazon and sold it to Jonathan, who you may have seen in some of the other videos. If you saw our Boss video, Jonathan did the Monomyth bass pedal and you didn't see his face in that. And then he did the Boss, which one was it? I was hoping he could join us, but he is out with his significant other doing some car shopping today, which I thought I may have to do today after being stranded. I had to drive yesterday about 2.5 hours away. I have a tree farm. I had to meet the forester there to review everything and get some consultation. And the car failed me before I could get home. Town about 1.5 hours away at a Toyota dealer. They haven't told me what's wrong with it yet or any of that. Okay, so while I've been stalling here, I pulled up on the other screen, since I mentioned Jonathan, who has been contributing here. Let me show you who I'm talking about. There we go. So there's the video where he's talking about the SD1 Wazacraft guitar pedal. If you hadn't seen that yet, go check it out. Leave him a comment. He's new at making video, and he sent me the raw video and I did the editing. So it's kind of a team project on that one. He's got that and then a Monomyth. He's about to start doing, he was going to do a Blues Driver, but he brought it over here last weekend and I plugged it into the Vox AC15 I have sitting beside me. I couldn't get a peep out of it. So I think something in his Boss Blues Driver pedal failed, unfortunately, and he's had it for a couple decades, I think, so it's not like it was a brand new pedal. Here's number two, and once again, the tape is sealed. Have not been in this one yet, but you know what, just to keep it interesting, let's look at something that showed up in the last day or so. The Aroma AG10S electric guitar amplifier. I'd like to thank Aroma, I don't know, I'm calling it Aroma. I'd like to thank them for sending this. One of the things that I do is make videos for Amazon. So if you've seen or heard me, you probably heard my voice in Amazon videos where I don't show my face. All I'm showing is the product. Brands will often send products to have videos made to be posted on Amazon. That's how I got this and lots of other things, because I don't just do guitars. So I also run the gearreport.com website, and we review all sorts of stuff that's not guitar related, mostly outdoor stuff. We do some other things as well, but mostly outdoor stuff. And I've been doing that since 2009. The guitars, especially this Dearly Guitar to Guitar channel, is one of the newer things that we do here. And we've actually got a fairly sizable team of people that contribute among the different YouTube channels and social media, and especially on the Gear Report website with the written content that we produce. So, all right, we'll have a look at the Aroma AG10S. It's a little amplifier, and not the heaviest one I have felt in this size range. What this is, there's a little tab hanging off the front of it, and I feel like it is probably for pulling that grill off, but I don't want to pull on it too hard till I read the directions. It's got a nice little Tolex around it, and then the plastic kind of bumpers on the corners, a rubberized handle that kind of retracts up here on the top. And on the back side, we have an on-off switch, and then the DC in. It takes a 12-volt, 1.5 amp, and we also have the small plug for a headphone out on the back. Your top controls are going to be, here's your input. You have a clean and drive on this button, pretty typical. Gain, I'm just going to turn them up to the middle for now. Bass, so bass and treble for EQ, no mid EQ. And then volume. And then on the other side, we have a button for Bluetooth, which I wasn't aware this one was going to have Bluetooth. So that's kind of neat. It is a small little amp. Now, I want to look in the directions real quick and see if it tells me what that little tab on the front is for. It does not mention that. Isn't that interesting? I'm going to set this aside, and we're going to unbox the next one. And maybe when I get done with that unboxing, we'll plug this little amp in and hear what it sounds like. Box number 2. All right, once again, the tape has not been cut. There's one, and then the other one right there. Now, all right, you got to see that one before me, so I'll pull it out. And I can tell it is the same Sunburst, so that's good. They got the color and model right on both of these. A couple of the desiccant packs just fell out. So between the desiccant packs and that rust-proof paper that they put over the strings, I think they're really doing a good job of trying to prevent any kind of degradation or corrosion when these guitars are making their way from Vietnam, where they're manufactured, all the way across to the Amazon distribution system, and then making it to whatever warehouse it is that they sit in until they're sold and shipped. That's a lot of ground that they're covering. Let's see if we got another pretty top on this one. It doesn't look too bad. And I'll have to try to find a picture of the first one. I'm not seeing any real waviness in this. We'll look at it a little bit more closely on the desk in a minute, but let's check out for any shipping damage. The neck looks okay on this one, as does the headstock and the bottom. Knobs are all on and moving fine. Three-way switch feels good. Strap buttons look good. Our cavity covers are on. Yeah, all right. Well, that one looks pretty good as well. And these frets, I'm telling you, that first one, the frets were super smooth on the end where they've been rounded over. This, they have been rounded over as well. I think on the bass side, there are a couple that I thought were going to be sharp. They don't actually feel sharp, but they look like they might be. So, all right, we're 2 for 2. We're looking pretty good. All right, so let me switch cameras up here. Here's number 2 on the bench. I've been sitting on that Flatsense work mat. Here we see the wrapped tailpiece with the little intonation adjustments. The rust-proof paper is on it, covering up the P90s. The Jatoba fretboard. I'm not going to take the paper off. I'm going to leave that on for now. Everything on the back looks good. The control plates are there. I'm going to go ahead and put a number on it right now while I'm thinking about it. So we'll put a little bit of that to easy release painter's tape so it's not going to leave any residue. Put a number 2 on there so we know that this is the second one that was open. You can see that kind of access cut on the back real quick. Back of the headstock looks pretty good. There's a little bit of, it looks like clear coat, like maybe 2 different drip spots there where it made a little bump. It really didn't feel too bad. I think I would probably take some really fine grit sandpaper and sand that down a little bit just to make it nice and smooth and polished. No breaks, number nice. Number 1 still looks better. I think that the grain pattern on the face of the guitar on number 1 is more interesting. It had like 2 different types of patterns that kind of mixed together a little bit. So yeah, I think number 1 is the best looking one out of those 2. Have to get you one of those phone bracket arms. Glad you said that because I have something that I haven't tried yet, and I think I have 2 of them actually. 2 boxes that are labeled as phone holder, and these are other items that were sent to do Amazon videos on, and they're in the queue. I just haven't got to them yet. So here's the first one. It's not what I thought it was going to be. This is a MagSafe type adapter that will go on a strap. Now, the reason, yes, I remember talking to this brand, and they were getting really excited because I said that it reminded me of the knee board that we use in aviation. So as a pilot, there are times when, there's lots of navigation instructions or altitude instructions or airport procedures or radio frequencies. There are lots of things that you have to remember. So we have a knee board that straps to your leg so you can write those things down as you need them. And it's going to work something like this, but this has the MagSafe, which works great with the phone that I have for a lot of things. And I remember talking to this brand because I told them that it reminded me of a Pilot knee board where, but you could just stick your device on it. And they're like, oh yeah, we should do that. And I said, well, think twice before you really market it like that, because if a device falls off and now it gets around your feet where you have your rudder pedals, like that could cause an accident, and it could really be a problem. So I wouldn't magnetically hold a device on a knee board in an aircraft unless I had a tether on it to keep it from getting away from me if you hit some turbulence and it bounces around and falls off. But for a guitarist, you could put that strap around your leg, around your thigh, just like you would as a pilot in an aircraft. But then you have your tablet or phone on it with your set list or with tab for the song that you're going to play, something like that. Not sure that it's going to work as well for this as it would for maybe strapping something to your leg while you're driving if you don't have a phone mount. Like one of my wife's car doesn't have a good place to put a phone. Maybe I strap that to my leg so that I don't have to worry about losing the GPS while we're driving. Moving on to the next one. I know what this one is. This is a clamp to the headstock phone holder. So in this little piece of bubble wrap, that's the clamp that's going to go on the headstock. And then this is going to be the phone holder. We'll get to how they fit together shortly, but you can see it's just spring-loaded, so it'll clamp the phone. And I'm confused about how to put it together. Yet that's not going to be it. This is the missing puzzle piece that I was struggling with. It's a little articulating arm with a 1/4-20 thread on each side. You can loosen it to move it, tighten it in the middle to clamp them down. So that's going to screw into both items. First, we'll screw it into the clamp that goes on the headstock, like so. And then we'll take the other side and attach it. There are 2 different places you can attach it on the actual phone holder itself. But first, here, I'll loosen the clamp and put it on so we can see where that's going to sit. And then once it's up there, it'll be a whole lot more obvious which direction we need to mount the phone holder. It really depends on which way which camera you want to use, which direction you want it pointing, and do you want vertical or horizontal video out of it. Once you get it in place, moving that articulated arm is going to let you change it around. So I got another phone here that we can mount in here to show you. In this case, like if we're using the selfie camera, the camera that points back at you, now your camera angle, the way this is set up, is it's looking at the headstock and down the fretboard. So that could be really useful, especially for doing edited videos, instructional videos, or demonstration videos where you want people to be able to see what's going on there. You can turn it sideways, articulate it in different directions, have the camera mounted facing you or away from you, so you're using either one of the different cameras, whatever works for you, and then it unscrews and comes off pretty easily. And let's move on to guitar number 3, the third and final of the IYV ILS 250. Once again, you can see the tape is uncut on both ends. So the third one, while I've got you here, let me show you guys one other thing. We'll share the screen. If you go to Amazon and you're looking at a product listing and you scroll up right up here where they have the pictures, sometimes you'll see videos. You may find some of my videos up there. So please click if you ever see them. They'll be in Amazon. Our influencer account is called Gear Report. And the other place you may see videos. Oh no, this is interesting. I have uploaded videos for this product and there are no videos showing here. So that is something I'm going to have to fix with Amazon. If we look on the Gear Report Amazon influencer store, which you're welcome to do, you can go find us. You can click through I'll add it to the description or on the channel description in YouTube, where we happen to be watching it. If we do IYV and search for that, you can see we got lots of different IYV guitar models that we've made videos for. There's that old green one. Birdman and I were talking about those this morning in a discussion. I had that a couple years ago. But you can see I've got videos up there for this product. And let's open that. And it's not showing. Isn't that bizarre? I think Amazon is messing with me and has taken that placement away. That is not a good thing, because if we want to get new products in to make reviews, we've got to have a way to monetize our content. You can go find our videos on Amazon as well as the Dearly Guitarded channel. Let's open up number 3. I know that's what we're looking at. One of those foam brackets. Arms. Yeah. Oh, I see. Birdman says he needs one of those overhead arms. I've used this a lot. A lot of the Amazon videos that I shoot are overhead, and these work really well. All right. Let's come down and we'll cut that one. You know what? This is boring. I'm going to get something much better. I got my little miniature sword here. It's actually a Swiss bayonet that is made to affix to a Swiss K31 rifle. And I think it is perfectly appropriate for cutting tape on boxes. Although maybe not as sharp as the other one. There we go. Got to keep things interesting here. All right. Number 3. And this is also the correct paint scheme pattern. So that's good. Every now and then you hear about people opening boxes and they're like, that's not the model I ordered. But it is the correct model here. So let me resheathe the bayonet. These would have been used in the World War II era, by the way. I have to go look at the history of them. I don't know if they made these before then, like for World War I, or if this was strictly a World War II vintage. I used to be a gun collector that focused on World War II firearms. I still have a few, but I've kind of gotten out of that. All right, so Allen wrenches. And then we'll get this foam baggie off. The suspense is killing me. Waiting to see what kind of top we have here. And you know what? I'm going to take this opportunity to make an announcement. I'm going to give one of these away. I don't know how yet. I'm not sure when, but over the next week or two, I'm going to figure out how I'm going to do it. All right, this is like a really classic looking, I swear that looks like a one-piece top. It's got to be a multi-piece body with a veneer, I would think, but that is, there's no curly maple, no flame maple, but a very, very nice looking standard top. So anyhow, one of these is spoken for. Birdman and I are working, I think, we've worked out a trade, and he's going to get one of these, and I'm going to get a guitar that he has, a Gear It, that's very similar, like a Les Paul Special, so I can make some Amazon videos. Here's round 3 on the workbench, once again on the Flatstones work mat and neck rest. This one looks pretty good. I like the classic look of the top. Again, they have that rust preventative paper on the neck, and that's good for keeping the corrosion off of the strings and the frets and everything. We got the P90 pickups under there, the wrap tailpiece with the adjustable intonation in a couple places. Yep, right under there. All 4 of the knobs look pretty good. They're attached well. They feel pretty good. Go ahead and turn those up. Although, I don't know if I'm going to test play this one before the live's over or not. I really hate doing the initial tuning of a guitar on camera live. It takes so long to stretch the strings, and I get distracted and I don't interact with people as well as I should. It's a nice looking top, but I don't see any ripple or flame or anything in it certainly like in the first one we looked at today. But it's a very classy looking plain kind of top. Back of the neck looks pretty good. Tuners look pretty decent. Not seeing the issue here with, a little paint bubble like we did on the last one. Ends of the frets have been rounded over, I think, with a sanding block, but still not as good as on that first one. That first one was just done really well. So while we're talking about it, let me show you how I do it with a sanding block. You can see where I've done it before. We've got the little marks on it already, but it's pretty simple, especially with this paper on the strings to protect them. And I'm going to put a little tape so I don't scratch the body with the sanding block, but then I'm just running it up and down the edge, holding it at an angle because it is foam backed with the tight grain of sandpaper on the outside. It kind of wraps around and rounds over those frets and fretboard and everything really well. I'll do it on a rosewood board. I don't like doing it on maple boards if they have been coated because it's going to take that coating off of the edge. So move the tape to the other side. We're going to do this exact same thing on the other edge. If I was taking off any appreciable amount of metal at all, I would want to tape over the pickups to keep any little bits of metal that come off from getting in there, because I think a lot of people don't understand that over time, with all the vibration in the guitar, any metal fragments that get down into the pickup can actually break the really thin copper that's wrapped around the bobbins and can actually destroy the electrical side of the pickup. So you do really want to be careful if you're taking off any, bits of metal, that you don't let it get down in there around the pickups. See, I thought we were just going to unbox some guitars, and I actually revealed 2 giveaways. If you like plain grain, that is an absolutely beautiful grain, I think. You don't often see where it's got that kind of round section like up there. And then let's compare it. We'll put these 2 side by side. So number 1 here, you can see it's got some of that flame maple or waviness to it, as well as the regular grain versus just regular grain with no waviness. So I think that really kind of comes down to what your preference is. To me, this is by far the most interesting, with the depth and waviness that you see from some of those kind of horizontal. Man, that has got some real 3D depth to it. All right. So let's see, anything else we should talk about or do? Why don't we do this? I'm going to put that number 3 out of the way, and let's grab the power supply. All right, I got the little power supply plugged in. So now we will insert that in the back of the AG10S from Aroma. So for this demonstration, I'm going to plug my little Flatsense 2.4 gigahertz wireless transmitter in there, and or receiver rather. The transmitter is here. I was gonna do number one. Actually, I want to set that aside until I finish tuning it. We'll tune it real quick. We'll do a quick listen. I'm stretching strings here, by the way. This is the first thing I do before I tune a guitar for the first time. I'll show you what I'm doing. I'm getting my finger just under the string and very gently pulling it up away from the fretboard. So I'm stretching it a little bit, and I'm starting at the bottom and going all the way up with it so that hopefully the strings don't stretch too bad when I start tuning and playing. Yeah, I had this tuned to the low string tuned to E. I'm just going to do E standard in this. And after stretching the string, it was on B. So it lost quite a bit of tension. So that's why we stretch them ahead of time, because they're going to stretch and then you're just going to have to retune. So I find it easier to kind of pre-stretch them. I know some people like to play them in, like instead of stretching them, they're like, I'll just play it and retune it and play it and retune it. I'm actually doing that on a different guitar, but that one is special because it has a little computer board in it and mechanized tuners. Let's see, I'm going past the G here because I'm talking. It's one of the Gibson robot guitars. So I did not stretch those strings in. I'm playing it for a little bit because I want it to go out of tune. So then I can shoot a new video where I say, like the one I posted this morning, I needed it to be out of tune so I could post a video showing how the robot tuners work. So I did not want to stretch those strings in. I want it to go out of tune so that I can demonstrate how the robot tuning system works. All right, we are pretty close. This is not perfect, but the little Donner clip-on tuner did a good job. The President 187 just subscribed. That is amazing. I didn't even know we could get a graphic like this on the screen. So that's like a double bonus. Pardon the phone bracket in front of me, but you can see what we're doing here. We have the Flatsense transmitter. And where did I put the other side of that? Here it is. All right, so I'm going to turn the other side on. And that's linked, so I'll plug it into this guitar. Our tone and volumes are all up, and we're on the neck pickup. All right, gain is straight up. Both of our EQs are straight up. Volume may be a little loud. And we're picking all this up on my little condenser mic that is right here. So it's literally sitting right beside the amp. That's clean. Let me hit the distortion. See if we can get to where you can actually see me doing anything here. And that's not really working to get the playing on camera. Let's see. We'll turn it. Ooh, it does not like. It's wanting to feed back. These little P90s are like 11 inches from the front of the speaker. So that's probably not the greatest idea. It is wanting to feed back. Yeah, let's turn that down. I don't think we need to do any more distorted here. I really like the sound of this. The other one, because we unboxed 3, there was a 4th one that was unboxed and sold already. Microphonic. Well, I mean, to be completely honest, I am literally, let me move this camera so you can see what we're dealing with. Like I'm playing right in front of the speaker face, and then the microphone is like all right, let me get back here. And now my finger, I'm going to touch the microphone. That's how far away it is. Like the length of my hand away from the actual face of the speaker. So I don't really blame the P90s for a little bit of feedback when they're literally 10 or 11 inches in front of the speaker itself. So how is that for an impromptu demo of a brand new amplifier I'd not tried before? Based on the little bit that I heard here, I generally, any kind of amp that is in this size range or smaller, when it comes in, I dread it. Like brands will say, "Hey, can we send you this?" And I'm like, "Oh, this is going to be a nightmare," because they usually suck. I'm going to show you a couple. I have a set of Cream P90s. I'll pop in number one. All right, here we go. And that's what he's talking about. Number one, bask in the glow of the Chipson shirt. These are all amps that have shown up in the past few months that brands have sent to do the Amazon videos. BA10, FBA10, BA10. I think the Fesley is called FBA10. No, FGA10. If you take them out and look at them, they all look pretty much identical, but I'm telling you, the sound difference is insane. This Flatsons is my favorite. The next one is the Fesley. I would absolutely go for the Fesley before getting either one of these Ewers, the BA10 or the other one says BA10 too. One of them says it is for bass and the other one says it is for guitar. The bass one sounds better for guitar, in my opinion. The Ewer guitar amp, I would not recommend that, to be completely honest. The Ewer bass amp of that BA10 actually sounds okay. It sounds quite a bit like the FGA10 from Fesley. But right now, I'm going to say the Aroma and the Flatsons are my favorite of the recent batch of cheap amps that I've looked at. Look at that. That thing is gorgeous. It is a very nice looking little amp, but it actually sounds pretty good when we're looking at a size comparison. It's much smaller. The Aroma is a traditional looking amp and it's got Bluetooth, but it doesn't have a battery. That's the other thing. The Flatsons has a little USB-C plug and it has a 2000 milliamp hour battery built in it. So without plugging it in, you can actually turn it on and use it and play. And I think these two sound pretty similar, and I'm going to have to do some testing because I mean, you saw I cut the box open. I haven't played these head to head. When I do that, then I'll let y'all know which one I like better. But at this point, I think I'm going to recommend this my top choice, the Flatsons FBA10, and then maybe the Aroma, and then the Fesley, and I'd probably pass on the Ewer, even though they look the same. They're not the same. Very well done. Thank you for an impromptu. You never know how a live stream is going to go, especially if you hadn't really planned it out. It's good to hear this one. Okay. Saw a Fender Champ 100 National Palm for about 185. Yeah, as we were discussing earlier, it's funny. I told you I don't go to pawn shops, but literally yesterday, for the first time in quite some time, I went to a pawn shop. And I walked in and they said, "Hey, can we help you? What are you looking for?" And I said, "I am passing through town. Whenever I go through a town, I look to see if anyone has any cool guitar stuff." And he said, "Great. Go through these doors and walk straight back the other end of the room. That's what you're looking for." And they probably had 30 guitars and 15 amps. And there was not a single thing I was interested in. There were maybe a couple things I could have been interested in if the price was right, but they were like 75, 80% of retail for used stuff. And I said, yeah, that's really not interesting to me. I'm not sure which one National Pawn is. I know there are a couple that I've been to around the area that Birdman lives on the other side of town for me. Within our area, there are several. I've yet to find one that impressed me, that I didn't feel like everything was dirty and nasty and they were charging way too much for it. So maybe I'll go look around though. They had a Fender Champ at that one I went to. It was in down in Fayetteville, where I stopped at one yesterday and was not impressed. Digital model, I think, very clean. Yeah. Man, so many digital amps are sounding decent today. A 2x12. They had a couple customs. I know we did a deal with a custom amp that I sent, a combo that I sent Birdman's way, that he seemed to be pretty happy with. It was a 1x12, pretty compact, but I like the way the speaker in that one sounded. Any thoughts or questions from anyone? I'm running out of the pre-programmed content. So here's what I'm going to do. We talked about the Gibson robot guitar. I want to talk about it because I like it. I think it's pretty cool. The way this works, and get it positioned under here, you pull this up and that puts it in tuning mode. And then when you strum the strings, it goes through and checks each string. And then the motors that are in the back of the tuners actually, they automatically turn the tuning buttons to bring everything in tune. So you saw that time it had just been done. So I strummed it once, it made one or two little adjustments, and then it showed that it was done and the guitar's in tune. So literally, because it was close already, one strum, and now it was in tune. Not my absolute favorite color. I think it looks cool. It looks kind of space age, especially for like the early 2000s when they were coming up with this design and then putting it out in 2007. Some neat fun facts about this. It is a studio, so you can see it's like a translucent blue finish, the nitro on it. So what looks right here to be binding, because I've got some studio lights right here shining on it. Without the studio lights, you can't really see this light line that well, but it's a translucent lacquer that's on it. So what you're seeing is the edge of that maple cap is the light color, and then the rest is the mahogany body. Let's see, in the back, you can see the grain through it. And it is a multi-piece body. If I can get the studio lights to stop reflecting too bad. Inside the cavity, that's the little computer that runs the robot tuners. And then this is the battery that I absolutely thought was going to be dead because it's almost 20 years old, rechargeable battery. You can order new ones from Tronicle in Germany. If we go under shop and go to the Gibson Robot Gen 1, and oh my goodness, the Darkfire, I want one of those. Darkfire and Dusk Tiger are both gorgeous guitars. If you know anyone who has one of those, I am going to start looking for one of those because they are gorgeous. I saw Austin looked at one, I think it was a year or two ago. Trogley, he looked at one, and I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. These things aren't cheap. You know, $200 a piece for 12 of them, that's $1,200 if you got to replace your power heads new. Let's see, they have the CPU is the part that is on the back of the headstock, and then the little Gen 1 body switch. They have the guitar active Tune-o-matic bridge, but I'm trying to zoom in on that some more. Look at that. It has a circuit board on the bottom of it, and it has little piezos on the top. Is that like the craziest thing you've ever seen or what? Like the technology it went into making these things happen is absolutely insane. And I hope that they have the yeah, the stop bar, the tailpiece. I wanted to show that as well, because when we look at the bottom of that, it also has a little circuit board in there. Really like little PCB right there in the bottom of the stop tailpiece. And it does look wider than a typical stop bar tailpiece. Birdman asked, does it do alt tuning or standard only? It has Gibson. I actually sent Gibson an email and said, can you send me a soft copy of the manual? And I sent it to him in the evening. The next morning, like pretty early, this was waiting in my inbox. So that was pretty cool. They were very quick getting that to me. I think we're starting on a page in the 40s. So I'm trying to, no, we're not. Here we go. Here's all the different information about everything before this is just regular guitar stuff. They're talking about finish and string changes and all of that. What gauge string to use, that's all Gibson guitar, typical manual stuff. Now we get into the robot guitar portion, and it's, let's see, dynamic runtime algorithm. Like that is a really fancy sounding description. It has the master control knob that I showed you where I pulled it up and that lit up. Everything's controlled out of that knob. You can pick it up and turn it, and then the little center section you can push down and it clicks, and that's it. You turn it and you click it, and that's all that it does. It has a bunch of different lights built into it. There is a ton of information that is displayed on that knob. It's crazy how complex this thing is. It's really, really super interesting. Even though this is old technology, almost 20 years old at this point. So what we're looking for is if we can figure out how to get into alternate tunings, because you see, like a regular E standard, your E and an E major. I want to see how to get into drop D. So pull the MCK out and turn to the D LED and then see above. Enter by pressing the display once. So that's all I did wrong. I forgot to hit enter. All right, so and I already turned that off. I was gonna show you how to do that, how to get in and drop D. I think that's gonna be a separate video. I'll record and edit a video and publish it on Dearly Guitarded that shows you how to set it into one of the alternate tunings, which I will do a drop D tuning, because that's, with my limited skill set, that's what I know how to handle. So I'll put it in drop D and I'll document how we do that from a couple, 2-3 different camera angles. I'm kind of limited on what I can do here live. I thought that was pretty cool. And I don't want to ruin all this stuff that I'm going to film and share specifically about the Gibson robot guitar. But I am afraid, like I'm really afraid at this point, that I'm going to end up having to get the next model, which is Dark Fire, or what do they call it? Dawn Tusk, something like that. I'm afraid that I'm going to end up wanting one of those. And then that's like the second generation. And then the third generation. Let's go back and look at the Tronicle website here. So Tronicle is the company that made all the tuning stuff. So if we go back to shop, and then that was the Gen 1, Dark Fire and Dusk Tiger, I think, are the Gen 2. And what you see here is the parts have shrunk. Every part of the system is smaller. Plus, it looks like they have a removable chargeable battery. Oh, that's brilliant. Workaround kit. That's somewhat makes me wonder a little bit. And you can see the bridge looks different because it doesn't have the post holes coming out the top, and then the stop tail, but it still has little piezos sitting in them. That is really neat looking. And they don't have a picture of the underside of it for this one. Dang it. And then the power heads are significantly smaller and more compact as well. And they have more normal looking tuning keys on them. Tailpiece has got a PCB in it as well. So that's a really neat system. And then you go up. I thought the Dusk Tiger was the same, but that looks like it may be a slightly different system. Maybe. I thought those two were the same. Firebird X, this is the famous one that they ran over with their tractor stuff, which I'll be honest with you, I'm still mad about. These looked amazing to me. They look super interesting. Like, even if they weren't perfect, I would have loved to have had one and played with it. Like, I love the technology, and that would have been amazing, but they had to go run over them with what was it? They ran over it with some sort of heavy equipment. I don't think it was a bulldozer. I know what I was thinking. The Mini eTune G-Force. I think that's the newest version, if I'm not mistaken. Regardless, all of these look really neat to me, and I'm excited. And now I'm going to be on the lookout. I have thought that these robot guitars were really cool and wanted one for a while. And I spotted this one locally and I probably watched it for a month or two before I saw the guy marked it as pending. And I was like, oh no, I missed the opportunity on that one. And then a couple hours later, I got a notification it was no longer pending. And I thought, okay, this guy's probably going to be pissed off right now because he thought he had it sold and it's not. I'm going to toss him an offer, and either he's going to be fed up and he's going to want to take it just to be rid of it, or he's going to be like, screw you, buddy, because he's in a bad mood. Fortunately, he was in a good mood. And the next day I was able to go get it. And the dude wasn't even going to show up. I sat there and waited for 10, 15 minutes before he showed up, and he said, I'm sorry, man. You wouldn't believe how many people said they were going to come buy it or look at it, and then they didn't show up. So he wasn't even planning on getting there until I said, hey, I'm here. And then he's like, oh, crap. And he got in his car and drove to where it was. So anyhow, that's the story of the Gibson robot guitar. Let me see. Can you read where it says robot guitar up there? Limited edition. And I'd play it for you, but we're not at that point yet. I am documenting things as I go. And the next step is to clean the frets up. And after I get that done, then I'm going to start playing it, and I'll record some of that as well. So, oh my goodness, this live has gone on for almost an hour and a half. Thanks for everyone who's out there. If you hadn't left a comment, please leave a comment. Let us know that you're out there. Thanks for being here. Check out the Dearly Guitarded group on Facebook. That's where we are sharing some of the different content and having some discussions there. We've got a guitar deals group. You know, I'm going to bring that up on the other page because we're coming up on the Black Friday season. So it's a Facebook group, the Dearly Guitarded group on Facebook. Here it is. And you can see a link right here in the intro section that will take you to our other group, Budget Guitar Alternatives. And I may alter that title to add the word deal into it at some point, but I'm going in every day or two and adding deals, especially over the next week, as some of the Black Friday sales have started, and they're just going to get more intense to go through Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Cyber Week. And then anything that hadn't sold during those sales, brands are going to start getting desperate and doing even more sales between then and right up until Christmas. And then stuff that didn't sell will have more sales after Christmas where they're blowing out any inventory. So I think there's going to be tons of deals. I'm going to have a number of really good deals that I'm able to post several times a week. I'm doing deals. Jonathan is going to be putting deals up in this group. I mean, if you like saving money, please go sign up for that group, Budget Guitar Alternatives. It's only got 16 members right now because I just created it a couple weeks ago and it had it up, put some content up, and then invited a few people a week or two ago, and we're getting ready to start pushing. And I'm also going to announce the 2 giveaways that I talked about during this live stream, 1 for a guitar and 2 for a Flatsons multi-effects system, the brand new KE1 Flatsons multi-effects. So I'm going to give away an IYV guitar and a Flatsons multi-effects, and they're going to happen through this group. So you'll need to be subscribed to Dearly Guitarded on YouTube, and then at least the Budget Guitar Alternatives group on Facebook if you want to be eligible to win either one of those. So with that, I think I'm going to wrap this up. Thanks so much, everyone, for being here. We'll see you on the next one. Until then, have fun, play loud. Please subscribe and check out our Guitar Deals group on Facebook. The link's in the bio.